Is Invincible Season 4 better than the comics? Does Invincible as a show overall live up to the hype, and is it really worth watching? And me, as a big Invincible fan, what would I rate Season 4 and overall the series as a whole? Well guys, today those are all the questions I'm going to be answering because Season 4 is finally wrapped up in Invincible, and let me tell you, it was absolutely everything I needed. Now if you did not know, Invincible, created by the same creator as The Walking Dead, Robert Kirkman, has just finished Season 4. Based on a very popular comic book, this show has been going on for quite some time, and I will have to say right off the bat, Season 4 by far might be the best out of all the seasons. Now for myself going into this show, I was very excited as of coming off of Season 3, which is a very enjoyable season. I really truly didn't know if it was going to live up to the hype of Season 3 or be even better than other seasons. Because I think when it comes to the Invincible fandom, a lot of people would agree that Season 1 is by far one of the best seasons. I mean, you just can't beat the Omni-Man versus Invincible fight. It's by far one of the most iconic and also the most memeable. But going into Season 4, with that being said, I was thoroughly surprised. With every new episode and overall the season, if I had to give this season a theme, I would say trauma and redemption. And what I mean by that is we really get a nice insight when it comes to Mark, the trauma that he's dealing with from what happened during Season 3. And we also get to really highlight a lot of Omni-Man with his trauma and also his redemption. Now, which I know a lot of fans make the argument about the comics versus the show, but this is an instance where I really think the show took a lot of liberties in implementing things that should have been implemented in the comics and never was. And so for that, I really much enjoyed what was going on in this season. Now, from the beginning of the season to the end of season, truly seeing the trauma that Mark was dealing with, confronting that trauma later on when he faces Conquest, and then getting new trauma near the end when it comes to Thrag was such a crazy full circle moment. With the trauma that they're dealing with also dealing with the other characters and having the show really flush out characters like Debbie and Oliver. These were so many moments in this show that I absolutely loved. I loved they gave more dialogue to Debbie, especially when it came to Debbie facing Nolan, giving more of a backstory and more depth in character when it came to Oliver, especially when Oliver was stuck on the planet with Omni-Man. And close near the end of the season, we get Omni-Man versus Thrag. Now, when it comes to the simple things, I think the animation, the fight scenes, the overall art style of Invincible is very enjoyable. And I know a lot of you hating Invincible fans are going to say the animation ruined it for you, but there is never a point when I was watching the show that there was something that bothered me about the animation. Yes, there were certain scenes and I could understand that, I'm not blind, but I'd rather get good storytelling over animation any day. Now, 3 of the best moments within the show that really just surprised me happen to be the last 3 of the season. Number 3 probably being the fight of Invincible and Conquest. That fight alone was probably so crazy I could not stop looking at the screen. And by far probably way better than the comics, as they just made it so visually disgusting. Number 2 is actually going to be from the latest episode. I really do think when we got to finally see Thrag talk to Invincible, this scene overall was so intense. And if you know anything about the comics, it actually was Omni-Man and Invincible who faced Thrag, so I really love that the show took away Omni-Man and just had Mark versus Thrag in that moment. It really added so much weight to that moment. And my final favorite moment within the entire season of Season 4 is probably going to be the throne room scene with Omni-Man and Thrag. This scene alone just wasn't intense, not just emotional. It felt like a full-on redemption arc of Omni-Man truly figuring out who he is and who he wants to be. And you cannot lie, that tornado gut punch that Thrag hit Omni-Man with was probably one of the best moments in the entire TV show. With every episode specifically being 8 episodes in the season, I really don't think there was a single episode I didn't like. Even with the Dark Blood episode essentially being a filler episode, it was still enjoyable, and I think it added a lot of lore that we could see for Season 5. Some of my favorite episodes within this season are probably going to be the Conquest versus Invincible, Omni-Man versus Thrag, and of course the last episode of the season. I think each one of these episodes really represents why Invincible is such a great show. And if I had to say truly anything negative about the show, of course I think the animation could be better, but again, I don't think it takes away from the overall telling of the story, and when the animation counts, it counts. Now, of course, the big questions are, is Invincible Season 4 worth watching? What do I rank it? And overall, is it better than the comics? Now, after reading the comics, I will say Invincible overall has taken a lot of liberties for incorporating new things that were never touched on in the comics. And for this alone, I truly believe that the show is better than the comics. Not saying that the comics are bad, I still recommend reading them absolutely, they're very enjoyable. But the Invincible show is doing something that's enhancing the story that the comics never really got to do. And for that, I think alone you should be watching Invincible. Now, of course, is Invincible worth watching? Absolutely. If you're someone that is a superhero fan and did not read the comics, I absolutely recommend Invincible. It's not as kiddie and cartoonish as a lot of people might seem. It's actually a lot darker, and it really gives a nice element into if superheroes really existed in the real world, this might be what could happen, as crazy as that might seem. Now, overall, my ranking when it comes to season 4 of Invincible, I think I easily give this season a 9 out of 10. There are very few things that I have a problem with it, and I think every single episode I really had my eyes glued onto the screen. And I actually might make the argument that this is by far one of the best seasons out of all of them. I used to say season 1, and I think a lot of Invincible fans would agree, but I think season 4 has just taken the cake. As a show overall right now with all 4 seasons, I think I would easily put Invincible at an 8.5 out of 10. The show is easy to watch, it's very enjoyable, it's intense when it needs to be, it's emotional when it needs to be, and overall I highly recommend watching Invincible. Guys, let me know your thoughts down below as always. Remember to like the video and subscribe if you have not. If you love videos like this and other reviews, remember to check out these over here.